You can thank those DNA genealogy websites for leading police to the suspected Golden State Killer. More on the investigation is coming up next on Nightside. A homework question featuring revenge sex, a baby daddy, and an ex-boyfriend is not sitting well with parents. But first, the sheriff who oversaw the Parkland school shooting response is losing support from his own team. Broward's top cop, Scott Israel, getting a vote of no confidence.
That's right. 85% of the union's deputies decided that they're not happy with the sheriff's leadership. So how did we even get here? Well, let's start with this. The union president says it's due to years of dysfunction, and it all came to a head with Sheriff Israel's handling of the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High. The Valentine's Day massacre left 17 people dead. And just days ago, we told you about eyewitness statements from Coral Springs police officers who say when they arrived at Stoneman Douglas, they saw some Broward deputies hiding instead of finding the suspect. That brings us to tonight's vote of no confidence. On Twitter, the sheriff said he's accountable to the citizens of Broward County. He adds, "I will not be distracted from my deputies by this inconsequential union vote, which was designed to extort a pay raise. Those who voted in this straw ballot reflect only a small number of the 5,400 BSO employees." And now, Carolina, for the record, there were 638 deputies that cast their ballots.
Yeah, and Candace, what we really want to know is, do these votes really mean much, right, Josh? So what does a no confidence vote really mean?
So officially, not a whole heck of a lot, to be honest with you. But symbolically speaking, this is a big deal because you've got a union here. The Broward Sheriff's Office Deputies Association represents 2,500 employees, right? And the majority now have effectively said this sheriff should no longer be leading them. Which means the focus now moves to the governor. He's the one who has the power to suspend the sheriff. That's a relatively straightforward ask, Catalina, when there's a criminal element involved.
But Josh, that is not what we're dealing with here.
No. This is where it gets a little trickier because instead, under Florida statute, the governor needs a different sort of legal standing here. One where he would have to show that the sheriff's conduct in his office's response to the Parkland shooting rose to the level of either malfeasance, misfeasance, neglect of duty, or incompetence. Now, we have heard in the past, the governor has said he wants to wait till all the facts are out there before he makes any sort of decision on something like this. And of course, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's investigation, that is still ongoing as well.
Which leads me to the next question.
Yes.
Has Governor Scott ever suspended someone in power?
You know, as a matter of fact, in his 2 terms he has. He's had to do it about 40 times at least. But suspensions for people who have not committed a crime, those are a bit more rare. He's only done that 5 times. But even then, the governor isn't the final say in all of this. Florida statute actually says it's the Senate which ultimately gets to vote on whether a suspended public official stays or whether they go.
So we will have to wait and see what the governor decides to do, if anything. Thanks, Josh.
Well, you know those genealogy websites people use to find out more about their family backgrounds and ancestry? Well, that's how police were able to catch the suspected Golden State Killer. A relative of Joseph James, D'Angelo, was using those websites. That's how investigators say they linked the 72-year-old former police officer to the crimes. Authorities believe he's responsible for at least 12 killings and 50 rapes in the 70s and 80s. D'Angelo is charged with 8 counts of murder and is scheduled to be arraigned Friday. And Carolina, this is like something right out of CSI, with investigators combing family trees and putting the pieces together.
Oh, yeah, and it is. What we really want to know, Candace, is this legal? Alex Miranda now joining me. Alex, that's the big question that we're seeing online right now.
Yeah, Carolina, it's a good one, too. I wanted to find that answer for all of you. Some civil liberty groups are concerned, pointing at the obvious ethical and privacy concerns. But when it comes to legality, the answer is yes, to a degree. California was the first state in the country to adopt a familial DNA policy back in 2008. Investigators can use familial DNA as long as all of the options have been exhausted. In other words, it has to be a last resort. People are excited, but also a bit worried about what the implications of all of this are on social media right now. Tech lawyer Tiffany C. Leid tweeted a lot of comments saying people would be fine with giving up their family DNA data if it helps catch a serial killer. Be careful. This same rationale can justify almost any invasion of privacy. Think facial recognition, iPhone backdoors, etc. But California Treasurer John Chung said the case of the Golden State Killer epitomizes the importance of the DNA testing and directly led to yesterday's arrest. It's why we must end the gross epidemic of 13,000 backlogged rape kits in California. This is about public safety and getting rapists off the streets.
So, Alex, what about the websites that were used in this particular case? Do we know which ones?
Well, CBS News contacted Ancestry and 23andme.com. They both say that they were not involved.
He was once hailed as America's dad. Now Bill Cosby is facing decades of possible prison time. Cosby posted a $1 million bail and is back home tonight after a jury found him guilty on 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. Cosby was acquitted of the same crimes just last year, but now at least one of his accusers is crediting a change in the national climate for a different verdict this time around.
Last year, when I was sitting in the courtroom of the first trial and the verdict was hung, I left with such a tremendous sense of disappointment. But today, this jury has shown that what the Me Too movement has saying is that women are worthy of being believed.
Cosby and his legal team insist the comedian is innocent and all of his encounters with his accusers were consensual. But the prosecutor in this case painted a different picture of Cosby.
He used his celebrity, he used his wealth, he used his network of supporters to help him conceal his crimes. And now we really know today who was behind that act, who the real Bill Cosby was.
Now, this case is still far from wrapped up. It will be another 60 to 90 days before Cosby is sentenced, which could be up to 30 years. Cosby's lawyers have also said they will appeal the verdict.
A Jacksonville father is demanding answers from his daughter's school district after he says he found inappropriate questions on her 11th grade anatomy homework. Here's what that question read. Ursula was devastated when her boyfriend broke up with her after having sex. To get revenge, she had sex with his best friend the next day. Ursula had a beautiful baby girl 9 months later. Ursula has type O blood, her ex-boyfriend is type AB blood, and his best friend is type A blood. If her baby daddy is her ex-boyfriend, what could her baby's possible blood type not be? We were talking to you about this on Facebook Live, and a lot of you were disgusted.
Big time. The father who complained said the principal claimed the question was part of a district-generated worksheet, but the school district says it didn't come from them. Either way, it got us thinking, what can you do if you don't agree with your child's curriculum?
Nightside Sarah Rosario looks at all of your options.
That's right. A law passed last summer allows parents to challenge any textbook or instructional material that they find to be inappropriate or offensive. That is House Bill 989. And that not only allows parents to challenge the material, but they can also request a meeting to argue their views before an unbiased and qualified hearing officer. Now, for concerned parents, that's just a start. But what happens if the material in question comes straight from the teacher? Well, that's what happened in Jacksonville. And the parent who read that homework assignment, he said he was dumbfounded.
The words baby daddy and baby mama being used, that's foresight. The fact that, she's having sex with one guy and to get revenge on this guy, she has sex with his best friend the next day. I mean, that's just not something that I want to teach any student.
Well, that parent did exactly what school leaders suggest by raising a red flag and by doing it fast. Turns out the Duval County School District agreed that assignment was out of line. They said in a statement the question was highly inappropriate and was not part of a district assessment. Immediately upon being made aware of this matter, school and district leaders began conducting a review of the situation. They also said appropriate and corrective action will be taken. Well, I'll be sure to let you know when the district decides to act on that promise. Sarah Rosario, 10 News.
Worried about social media sites selling your personal data? Well, what if you could sell that data yourself?
See something? Say something. That's what led to a Hillsborough County student's arrest. The sheriff's office says someone saw a 13-year-old pull a loaded handgun from his backpack and hide it in a tire just outside of Dowdell Middle School. School staff were notified and the gun was secured, and that student was charged with bringing a firearm on school property.
Facebook's Cambridge Analytica scandal made it really obvious that we do not own our own data, but you have made it very clear that you also are not thinking about paying for Facebook in exchange for more privacy. But what if you got paid? 10 News reporter Bianca Gralo tells us why that's not such a crazy idea.
Data is that information about ourselves that now we're used to giving up for free, but that's extremely valuable. I'm talking about those digital crumbs you leave behind when you go online and you click, you like, share, or buy something. That information is compiled to make a digital version of you. And then that data is used to make a lot of money, but you don't see any of it because that's the price you pay for using Facebook or Google for free. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if you own the digital you and then only share the information you chose to and charge for it? Some say that future is not so distant.
Right now, consumers are basically being exploited for their data.
The notion that privacy is dead, get over it, is a dangerous one.
Privacy and money are two things Robert and Eliza Wensley say we can take back.
This is going to be the biggest shift in the history of the internet.
They created DataBook, an app that lets you block companies from using your data and pick the ones you want to sell it to. How can I trust that you don't have access to my data?
It is actually impossible for us to access the user's data. So that's the beautiful thing about blockchain technology.
I think it would be helpful if we gave a little bit of a background just on blockchain technology and how it works. Do you want to do that?
Well, you want me to explain blockchain?
No, I know it's so hard to explain.
But we're still gonna try, so here we go. Blockchain is the technology behind Bitcoin. But forget about the digital currency for a moment. What you should know is that blockchain is decentralized. See, when Facebook controls your information, you trust them to store it safely in their servers. But the blockchain, or the ledger that would keep track of our information, is open and distributed around the world. It can't be hacked because there are too many points of entry, and the rest of the network would reject an attempt to corrupt it. And the data is encrypted, so only you would hold the private key that would unlock your personal information.
It is the most important technology innovation in a generation, basically.
But even the author of Blockchain Revolution will tell you there's no guarantee blockchain will really change things.
To be clear, blockchain is a really cool new technology, but it's not a solution to the world's problems. If people today are okay with this sort of Faustian bargain where they hand over all their data in exchange for free services, then maybe they won't switch.
But if we want to do something about it, we'll have many apps to choose from.
We're creating an application.
Developers around the world are currently working on finding a solution. But at the end of the day, these are also businesses. Being able to profit from my data directly sounds great, but how do you make money?
We take a small percentage of each transaction.
We're trying to flip this model in the way that the consumer gets the majority of the compensation, and we get a small transaction fee just for making all this happen.
Does it sound too good to be true? We have a right to be skeptical. I mean, we trusted Mark Zuckerberg. But what may be most revolutionary about this is that with blockchain, we might not have to trust anyone.
The mantra today is don't trust, verify. We're talking about a system where we can prove things through code rather than having to trust people who are flawed, working at companies which are vulnerable.
Bianca Gralo, 10 News.
It is hard to say how much your data is worth in dollars, but estimates show companies make as much as $250 billion a year selling your information. And that data will arguably become the world's most valuable asset in the coming years.
Talk about a beautiful day outside.
Yeah.
I wish it was like this every day. No humidity, clear skies, but I know a cold front's on the way.
But you know what? Today was a lot like it should be for this time of year. So we were pretty close to normals, which means enjoy it because the heat and humidity is not going to be far away. 83 is where we should be on average for this time of year. Topped out today right around 82 degrees. And you can see this morning we were almost exactly where we should be in the mid-60s to get the day started. Sun was up at 6:55, down at 8:02 this evening. Very similar numbers for tomorrow. Let's take you out to St. Pete this evening. Beautiful shot over the marina right now. That's Albert Whitted Airport, just behind that graphic right there. You can see the tower. 73 degrees right now. It's mild. Water temperatures in the mid to even some upper 70s, 77, 78 degrees. So that's been keeping temperatures a little bit warmer in the mornings along the coast. 73 for St. Pete, 70 in Clearwater. Sarasota, we're at 72. So generally low 70s along the coast, and you see low to mid 60s for inland locations. Look at Brooksville barely hanging on to the 60s at 60 right on the dot right now. 70 at Davis Islands, 65 in Brandon. So it doesn't take much to cool off, just a little bit, but that's very comfortable across the area. No rain. There is one little thunderstorm east of West Palm. It's going to head out back out through the northern Bahamas, and you can see that our forecast is very, very quiet for tomorrow morning. This is 7 a.m. You see this? 1, 2, 3, 4. A couple spots of sprinkles. Now, the kids at the bus stop, this is not going to be a big deal, but there will be some low clouds. There will be a sprinkle or two, so have them ready for that. It's not going to last long. In fact, I think most of us don't even see it, but it's there. And then this is lunchtime, a couple more clouds, a couple more shots for a sprinkle. 10 to 20% chance that is it if you're talking percentages. And then as we get into about 3 o'clock, Polk County, inland counties, Polk County and then Hardy, DeSoto Highlands, as we get into the late afternoon hours, again, 10 to 20% chance for rain. It is not a big chance at all. And then we have actually another shot of drier air. Dew points are going to come up. The humidity is going to creep up during the day tomorrow as that line comes through. And then tomorrow night, it'll go back down and we'll have the dry air similar to what we have right now. Tomorrow's temperatures will top out about 80, 81 degrees for a daytime high. And Blast Friday tomorrow night in Clearwater. Family fun starts at 5:30. 10,000 Maniacs, the music, that's tomorrow night. And look at that, 79 degrees falling back down through the mid-70s. That's it, 79 to about 75 by about 10 o'clock. You can see Saturday looks good, 81 degrees. Relatively low humidity, basically a dry day as well. Look at Sunday, though. That's when we start to see a change. 85 for a high, but the dew points, the humidity stays low. Not only Sunday, but it looks like most of next week as well. Now, boating looks really good tomorrow. 5 to 10 knots out of the west for the wind, so 1 to 2 foot seas. King of the beach is happening, especially on Saturday. Saturday morning looks great. Saturday afternoon, just a little bit more of a breeze out of the north and the west. It's going to go around 10 to 15 knots in the afternoon. Oak, bayberry, and grasses are our main allergens out there, and they're going to stay in the moderate category all the way through. There's a 7-day forecast, 81 tomorrow, 82 to 84 on Saturday. Not too much warmer, but yeah, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you see how warm we are next week. But again, humidity is going to stay comfortable.
The Lightning are hoping to bolt to the cup. Game 1, round 2 is Saturday at 3 p.m. And then Saturday night, be sure to tune in to 10 News at 7 p.m. for our special coverage of the road to the playoffs. Everything you need to know to get you pumped up for the next round of playoffs.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
With the 12th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Vita Vea, defensive tackle, Washington.
When you become a first-round pick, let's call him by his full name. Tavita Tuilakiono Tui Poloto Masese Va'ahe Faliatu Vea. He gets the entire selection, baby.
Thank you, Trey Wingo, because I was not about to take a shot at his full name on that one. Vita Vea is going to do just fine, and he is a mean son of a gun. I mean, just look at him. That is a 6'4", 347-pound monster that's about to become best friends with Gerald McCoy. Fun fact, by the way, he was born in 1995. You know what else happened that year? Funny, the Bucs also traded down from 7 to 12. They got a defensive tackle, too. You might know his name, Warren Sapp. Later in that round, they ended up trading back into the first round to grab Derek Brooks. That worked out just fine, didn't it? I didn't mean to put all that pressure on Vita Vea, but he is a wrecking ball and becomes the latest piece to a revamped defensive line that's now one of the best in the NFC. Vea is quick, physical, fast. Jason Light referred to him as Excalibur. That's not all, though. He is a bull, and he's headed to the Bay.
Very early in the process, he was a guy that we identified that could really, really help us. He's not only a great run stuffer, but he has also got athleticism, freakish athleticism for a 347-pound guy.
He loves football. He's a family man. He's incredibly gifted athletically, and we had him high on our board.
I asked him in very simple terms, what is the most important thing a defensive lineman can do? And I believe he said, kick the crap out of the guy in front of me. So I like that about him.
I do too. Gerald McCoy, pretty happy with the pick as well. His tweet right after Vea to the Bucs, here we go. What's not to like? Justin Granite joins us live from One Buck Place. Jay, I was going to ask you to pronounce his full name, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. Vea is a kid who has he's got a great backstory, Jay. Evicted from his home when he was young, forced to live in a motel, promised to buy his mother a home after being picked, and he's going to do just that. The Bucs love this guy.
Yeah, Jason Light, all you needed to see was huge smile to understand the Buccaneers got their pick. When he was drafted, Leid called him and said, are you in the backyard picking up rocks right now? And that is a joke going back to a conversation they had in pre-draft interviews when Vita told the story that he was in French Polynesia and he was in a field and he saw a group of bodybuilders and he went over and picked up one of the huge rocks these guys were trying to pick up, and they were all in awe because Vita, the 350-pounder, picked it up like it was nothing, and he was apparently the only person to ever pick that bad boy off, and Jason Leid called it the Excalibur of sorts. Now Leid hoping that he is their king of the defensive line.
A bit more on Vita Vea, a little bit of bioblast for you so you get to know the big defensive tackle. Obviously, his full name is there again. Not going to try to pronounce that one. College is Washington, one of the best defenders in the Pac-12. He's from California, 6'4", 347 pounds. Jay, Dirk Cutter loves the addition of Vea as well, and he got to become pretty familiar with him because he's got a relationship with his college head coach, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Washington's Chris Peterson. When the two spoke, Dirk and Peterson, before the draft, Peterson said, Vita is the type of guy you would want your daughter to marry. Those are some strong words from his head coach that he had over there 4 years in Washington. This group, this Buccaneer group, the front office has gotten a lot of great personalities this offseason between signing and drafting. Vita Vea now added to that list.
And Jay, they have an additional 2 second-round picks as well, trading back from their 7th spot to 12. So certainly a good day for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Justin Granite live for us at One Buck Place. Many believe the Bucs would select Derwin James Jr. Instead, they took Vea. James fell all the way to 17th, landing with the San Diego Chargers, or I should say the Los Angeles Chargers now. He's the 5th Seminoles defensive back ever drafted in the top 20, and the Haines City native is going to do wonders in Hollywood.
This is something a lot of you are not going to be excited about. This is not good news. Amazon says it's raising the price of Prime.
I can feel like the collective gasp.
Me, Amazon.
I know. So the service is going to jump from the $99 that you're paying right now, if you have it, to $119. Customers will see an increase when their membership comes up for renewal beginning on June 16th. Amazon's chief financial officer said the increase is a, quote, better reflection of the value of the program. Isn't that a nice way of putting it? There are more than 100 million Prime subscribers around the world, and neither of them are at
How do these guys live? I live off of Amazon Prime.
I do not have it. Okay, so you have it.
I definitely have it, and I do say, although I'm bummed about the $20 increase, which I think is bogus, I mean, I'll have to keep paying for it, because once you're on it, I feel like you're hooked. It's like Google. You use it all the time.
Yeah, but you can also just get the free trial, order your product, and cancel the free trial, and you never have to pay anything.
Alex knows how to play the game.
I mean, just a little bit of advice for you all if you haven't tried it yet.
I'm sure the company doesn't want you telling everybody that, but I might try it. Have a good night, everyone.